Hi there. My wife left me while I was taking care of my dying father. But when I became a millionaire through his will, she came back, humbly begging for forgiveness. I'm 36 years old, and I've been married for 8 years. We have 2 kids. I'm also the only son of my ailing father. My father has suffered from kidney problems for many years, but over the past 2 or 3 years, his condition worsened. Now he has to undergo dialysis twice a week, a process of artificially removing waste and excess fluids from the body. He used to go to these procedures on his own, but this past year, he's often asked me to accompany him. He's growing weaker by the day. So I created a schedule to drive him to dialysis, because I don't want to leave him alone in such a state. He needs dialysis twice a week, so I chose Saturday and Wednesday. Saturday is my day off, so that's not a problem. On Wednesdays, I arranged with my boss to leave work early and make up the remaining hours by working late in the evening after returning from dialysis. I've worked at this company for 10 years, and my boss considers me a hard-working and loyal employee. Granting me this kind of special permission wasn't an issue for him. But the problem was at home with my wife Ayla, who's 34. When she found out I'd be driving my father to dialysis twice a week, she got upset. She never liked it even when I occasionally took him, though she never voiced it openly. But now that I had fully taken on the responsibility, she couldn't hold back. She said there was no point wasting my time on my father because, no matter what I did, he would never be satisfied with me. For context, my father owned a trading business. He was fairly wealthy and had built up a solid fortune. He wanted me to continue his work, but I was passionate about something else. I wanted to work in tech. I was into programming. So after high school, when my dad wanted me to go into business or management, I chose to study programming. At first, he didn't object as long as I agreed to join his company after graduation. But after getting my degree, I started working at a well-known IT firm. My father was disappointed that I chose to work for someone else rather than continue his legacy. He kept asking me to join his business, and I kept putting it off. After I got married, my father asked me one last time if I wanted to take over the business. I said no. He exploded and said he'd donate his entire fortune to charity and leave me nothing. Even so, I stood my ground. I was already earning well at the time. At 29, I bought my own house and a car. I was confident I could live a decent life without his money. So I told him I didn't need his money and could take care of myself. From that moment, our relationship deteriorated. 5 years ago, my mom died of a heart attack. That hit my father hard. I had moved out when I was 17 to go to university, then got a job and started living on my own. My mother had been his only true companion. Her death was the hardest blow he had ever faced. After that, our relationship began to improve. I started visiting him more often, bringing my kids so they could play with him. Eventually, he stepped away from his business and handed management over to a trust fund. My wife Ayla was never close with my parents. When my mother was alive, Ayla avoided visiting them, saying my mother interfered too much in our lives and that they just didn't get along. When my father announced he would exclude me from his will, Ayla started openly criticizing my parents for being cruel and heartless. I asked her not to get involved in my relationship with them, but she kept doing it, claiming that such a move would affect our future, especially our children's future. I kept assuring her that our future, and our children's future, was secure regardless of my father's wealth. But she refused to listen. Now to the current situation. Ayla had a meltdown when she learned I would be accompanying my dad to dialysis twice a week. I tried explaining that my father had no one else. Yes, he had an older brother, but he lived across the city and rarely visited. Since my mom died, my father had been very lonely and I couldn't abandon him like that. But my wife just didn't get it. Lately, she's been making my life miserable. Every Saturday, she comes up with plans: hosting guests, deep cleaning, going out with the kids, or even something as trivial as a grocery run. I told her she could schedule whatever she wanted for Sundays, because Saturdays were for dialysis. But she kept making Saturday plans and then guilt-tripping me for being late or missing things. I would have to rush to my father, drive him to dialysis, wait through the session, bring him home, and then hurry back only to face her sarcastic remarks and tantrums. And it wasn't just Saturdays. She did the same thing on Wednesday evenings. I had promised my boss I'd make up for the missed hours by working late, but she always managed to create some situation to make things harder. She'd go meet family, catch up with old friends, or attend some random event, leaving the kids with me. So I'd be cooking, feeding the little one, and squeezing in my leftover work all after a long workday and a dialysis trip. More than once, my father offered to go with the nurse instead because he could see how stressed and hurried I was. The moment I dropped him off, I'd race back. Even when picking him up, I'd ask him to be outside, ready to go. He has a full-time nurse and caretaker, but I still feel guilty for not spending enough time with him. The ride to the dialysis center takes about 30 minutes. I used to enjoy chatting with him on the way, reminiscing about the past and talking about the kids. But as Ayla's complaints grew, all I could think about was getting home quickly. Now I often speed, take shortcuts, and weave through traffic just to cut travel time. It's the only time I get to spend with my dad, so I don't want him to go with a nurse. I feel that as his son, I have duties too. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I just can't take this woman anymore. Update 1. Things are getting worse every day. My wife is doing everything she can to get me to stop caring for my father. Her argument is that it's pointless. My father already cut me out of the will and donated his assets to charity. So in her view, there's absolutely no reason to waste energy and time on him. But I don't understand her logic. Are we supposed to only do things for money? What if someone's parents have no wealth at all? What if they're completely poor? Should their children abandon them just because they have nothing to offer? After months of hearing her complaints, I finally told her that she wouldn't be inheriting anything from her parents either. So why does she still visit them from time to time? Oh God, she lost it. She screamed that her parents had done far more for her than my greedy father ever had. That they always supported her. That they weren't like my dad, who disowned me just because I didn't join his business. She said her father would never do something like that to her, so I had no right to compare our parents. Now, these fights have become a routine in our home. Almost every Wednesday and Saturday, after I return from dialysis, there's another argument. And each one is worse than the last, more brutal, more toxic. She used to fight with me in private. Now she screams at me in front of the kids. What's worse, she's been badmouthing my father to our children and turning them against both of us. I overheard her once and stepped in, which triggered yet another explosive fight. Arguing with Ayla has become my new normal. On the days she doesn't yell at me, I feel like something's missing. I've almost given up. I don't yell back anymore. I don't argue. I just ignore her as if she doesn't exist. What else can I do? I can't abandon my father just to please her. I don't care that he cut me out of the will. He did that because of my own decision. I refused to join his company. He had every right to hand his life's work over to someone else. He had every right to deny me an inheritance because I hurt him. Sometimes I think karma is punishing me because I caused my father pain. On the other hand, he's getting weaker every day. He can barely walk on his own. He needs help just to get out of the house and into the car. I used to ask him to be ready and wait outside to save time. After dialysis, I'd just drop him off at home. But now, I don't care if I'm late. I go inside, help him carefully into the car, and make sure he's comfortable when we return. He's developed shortness of breath, so I walk slowly with him. When I drive, I avoid speeding to keep his heart from racing. I don't care if I get home late anymore. Rushing doesn't help anyway. If I'm going to deal with this venomous woman no matter what, I might as well make my father happy. But unfortunately, my more relaxed attitude made things worse at home. Yesterday, Ayla told me I had to choose between her and my father. I tried to explain that my father wouldn't be with us much longer, and considering his condition, he didn't have much time left. She coldly replied, "Then you need to decide who matters more, someone who'll be with you forever, or someone who's about to die." It was so heartless. I told her, "You know what? I'd rather choose my father than a snake who spits poison at a dying man." She packed her bags and left. I didn't even try to stop her. She needed time to cool off and I needed a break from all the chaos. While she was gone, I handled everything: the house, the kids, my dad, my job. Honestly, I felt clean, calm. Her absence brought me peace. The day before yesterday, she sent me divorce papers. I expected it, but not this fast. I was shocked, but deep down, I felt relief. I didn't call her. I just signed the papers and sent them back. To my surprise, she didn't ask for custody of the kids. That was the only thing I truly worried about. But clearly, she didn't want them. When she got the papers, she called me screaming. How could you just sign them without even calling me, without even trying to win me back? Funny, isn't it? Then her mom grabbed the phone and shouted, "You should have acted like a real man and tried to get your wife back, not just sign everything without a fight." I laughed. Why would I? She wanted the divorce, and I agreed. I thought, good, one less burden. I even jabbed her, saying she had abandoned her children and didn't even want to take them with her. She responded that I could keep all our assets, including the kids. She didn't care. Her mother added that Ayla was still young and didn't want the burden of kids. I replied, "That's fine with me. I'm happy my kids are with me. It's a relief. But I do worry about my kids. They miss their mother, especially the younger one. It's hard to handle everything alone. But I hope I can get through this." Update 2. This will be a short update. I moved into my father's house with the kids. Honestly, it was one of the best decisions I've made. The move was good for all of us. My father got to be around his grandchildren, and they got to spend time with their grandpa. My dad had a full-time caregiver, who agreed to also help look after the kids for an extra fee. Why not? Having someone care for my children under my father's supervision, that was the perfect arrangement. It was such a heartwarming feeling to watch my dad laugh and play with the kids, and see them enjoying time with their grandfather. Ayla never expected things to turn out this way. When she divorced me, she thought she was making my life hell. She assumed I wouldn't be able to handle it all: the kids, my dad, the house, and work. But everything fell into place. I definitely came out on top in all of this. The divorce was the best thing that could have happened to me. Update 3. Sad news. Last week, my father passed away in his sleep. He had gone to bed happy and content after playing with the kids and never woke up. The doctor said he died peacefully, without suffering. The nurse, the caregiver, and even the doctor told me how happy my dad had been after I moved in. They all said it had added several months to his life. He had been on the verge of giving up before we came to live with him. Losing the only parent you have left is incredibly hard. But I'm grateful that my father spent his final months happy and surrounded by family. My kids are sad too, but my father instilled strong values in them. They've been saying things like, "Grandpa taught us to accept reality and move forward. Life doesn't stop for anyone." Hearing those words from them fills me with pride. They truly give me strength during this painful time. But there's more, and it shocked me. After my father's passing, his lawyer contacted me and asked me to come to the office for the reading of the will. I told him it wasn't necessary. My father had already told me that he'd donated everything to a charitable trust. I was fine with that and assumed the lawyer was just handling the paperwork. I even asked if I should start moving out of my father's house, since I figured it had also been transferred to the trust. Tears. Turns out, my father had left everything to me: the entire business, the house, and all his assets. I asked the lawyer if this was a recent change. I thought maybe my dad had done it after I started caring for him. The lawyer smiled and said, "You've always been the heir. The will was never changed." I broke down crying. My father never gave up on me. Maybe he had only threatened to disinherit me to pressure me into taking over the business. The lawyer tried to comfort me, but I couldn't stop crying. I told him it was tearing me apart. I had hurt my father so much, and yet he had always looked after me. The lawyer told me my father had been incredibly proud of me, proud that I followed my passion despite his pressure, and that I turned down wealth to stay true to my dreams. He said my dad admired my principles deeply. Then he told me I was now officially the head of the company. If I wanted, I could take the business back from the trust and run it myself. And I think I will. I've done what I wanted with my life, and now I see that my father supported me all along, even if indirectly. Now it's my turn to honor him. I think I'll take the company back and grow it into what my father always dreamed it could be. I went home and told my kids about their grandfather's will. He had even left them part of his wealth to be given when they turn 18. Today, we visited his grave with flowers and spent some time there in silence. This is such a painful moment for me, emotionally. Update 4. You know how ants show up the moment they smell sugar? That's exactly what happened. About a month after my father died, I officially took over his business and began engaging in other community projects. First, I quit my job and focused on running the company. I also rented out my old house, since the kids and I decided to stay in my father's home. They feel connected to their grandfather there, and honestly, I do too. That house holds so many memories from my childhood. I don't want to leave it either. Once the news broke that I had inherited millions from my father, people started coming out of the woodwork: long-lost relatives, old friends, neighbors. But the most unexpected visitor? My ex-wife, Ayla, and her parents. They came into the house crying, saying they had no idea my father had died, otherwise they definitely would have attended the funeral. Her parents started saying all these nice things about my father. Ayla hugged the kids and cried, telling them how much she missed them. I asked her, "If you missed them so much, why haven't you visited once in the last 8 months?" She said she had come to our old house, but no one was home. What a load of nonsense. I asked her, "If the house was closed, didn't you feel the need to call me? To check on your children and make sure they were okay?" She had no answer. Then her parents stepped in. "Let's forget everything that happened. Now that Grandpa is gone, the children shouldn't be alone at home while their father's working. They need their mother, so why not reconcile?" I laughed in their faces. The kids needed her most when she abandoned them and dumped everything on me. Now they've gotten used to her absence, and I don't want her back in our lives. She started crying again, and her parents left us alone. She held my hands and begged for forgiveness. She said she loved me and missed the kids. I laughed and said, "No, you didn't love me. You love the money my father left behind. You and your greedy parents came here hoping to get a piece of it." I don't regret saying that because it's true. During the divorce, she called my father greedy and heartless. And now, she came crawling back, hoping to profit off his hard-earned money. But I'm not going to let this woman get a single cent. She flipped when I insulted her parents and said she had only begged because she loved me, but now she was going to claim what was rightfully hers. During the divorce, she didn't ask for alimony, but now she wanted half of my assets. Actually, half of my father's assets. I told her, "Do whatever you want, you're not getting a penny from me." She cursed me and stormed out in rage. After that, I spoke with my lawyer. He assured me she has almost no legal grounds to demand anything. The divorce was finalized a full year before I inherited anything. And since the kids stayed with me, she has no basis to make claims. Still, he warned me to be careful if I allow her to spend time with the kids. She might try to manipulate them emotionally and later go to court for custody just to get child support and access to my wealth. I was extremely grateful for that advice. I've decided to keep a close eye on any interactions between her and the kids. Right now, I'm spending a lot of time with my children to help them cope with the loss and to make sure they don't seek emotional comfort from their mother. Now that I've taken over my father's company, I have more flexibility in managing both my finances and my personal life. I'm planning a vacation with the kids. We're going to the Bahamas. Why not? They deserve a luxurious getaway. It's not about suddenly coming into money. I could have afforded this even before, but I never had the time while juggling work and caring for my father. Now that I finally have the time, I want to make them happy. As for Ayla, she hasn't contacted me since the last time she came over. I assume she's busy looking for lawyers to sue me. So what do you think about all this? Who's right? Who's wrong? In my opinion, the wife isn't a complete villain as it might seem at first. Think about it. The father told his son he wouldn't get a cent. That's harsh. Sure, he paid for his son's education in programming, but in return, he expected him to take over the business. The son basically strung him along, and the father was still holding on to hope. If the son had just been honest early on and said, "I'll never do this," things might have played out more brutally but with more clarity. Now, put yourself in the wife's shoes. Your husband's father practically disowns him and tells him he won't inherit anything. How would you react? That said, the divorce and the over-the-top drama were too much. You have a decent life. You have kids. You don't own your husband. He's his own person. Same goes for the father. His behavior was extreme too. Children need to feel wanted by their parents. If I had to choose the most reasonable person in this story, it's the son. May he have a healthy and successful life. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Check out our previous stories, we've got plenty more like this coming. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Good luck and see you soon.